Hey, I got something to say. How are you guys? What a week. What a week. I know a lot of you, there's a lot of transitions, me included, with going back to school and dropping kids off for college. And the internet, by the way. So I changed the program to 4:30 from 3 o'clock because I was stuck in drop-off, stuck in. Drop off took a lot longer, and I think the internet gods did not want me to go live at 4:30 because it was not letting me in. But I'm here, baby, and that's what life is all about, and that's what going live is all about. And my next guest, Lisa, I'm sure she us ladies, and if the men are listening, about becoming a franchise owner. That's right, a franchise owner, as well as other things. Lisa, it's working. Woohoo!
The world of technology, Sandy.
I said to him, the internet gods must not want me to do 4:30. They must really want me to do.
Oh my goodness.
And then I knew you were saying that your tripod didn't work or something. It broke right before.
It broke. So, you got to just roll with these things, right? You have no choice.
That's what life's about, baby. And that's what being in business is all about, right?
You got that right. The unknown. What's around every corner? Who knows?
Anyone that tells you it's lollipop and roses every day being in business, they're big fibbers. They're fibbers.
They're lying.
All right. Let's get into you before we go off onto some other tangent, and who knows what that will be. 10 years ago, Lisa followed her entrepreneurial spirit and became a franchise owner. Milestone Franchising is her second business venture and a direct result of her franchise ownership experience. As a franchise advisor, Lisa offers a realistic approach to business ownership by providing her candidates an objective understanding of franchising and introducing concepts that have a sound foundation. A sound foundation. She is a visionary business builder, who wants to inspire. You ready?
Frozen.
Here it is.
There it is.
Oh, I'm frozen? Oh,
Yeah.
No, not am I still frozen?
Now you're thawed.
All right, here you go. Ready? The one thing you want to tell women about, it must be ... Women have self-doubt about being business owners, but they are more than capable and often better than their male counterparts.
Is that controversial to say that?
I hope so. I really hope so. Maybe that's why we froze. So that was like, So why'd you pick that statement?
Why did I pick that statement, Sandy? Because this world that I'm in, franchising, it's a very male-dominated space. It just is. It's gotten better, but it's very male-dominated. And when I'm working with candidates, and often it's a husband reaches out, and then I start chatting with him about his wife. I'm like, so what does your wife do? And he's like, oh, she's not going to be working in this at all. And I'm like, well, how come? But no, this is what I'm going to do. This is me. It's just me. And I'm like, well, why? And I keep kind of pushing and pulling and prodding. And then I say, you know what? She needs to be part of these conversations because it's a big decision. And she knows you better than you know yourself. Let's have her on. And then I start talking to her a lot. And I'm like, how come you're not doing this? How come he's doing this? And she's like, me? What? Who? And meanwhile, she's got an incredible background, incredible resume. And I'm like, hey, listen, husband is going to stay in his corporate job. You're going to come and start doing this. Why aren't you doing this? And the husband's like, wait, I don't know what just happened. What's happening? And I'm like, shh. I'm like, we're just talking right now. We're just talking. But the fact that the women just don't even think about it, the men, they don't even take a pause. They're just like, boom, I'm doing this. That's it. The women, though, are filled with all this self-doubt and all this like fear and all this concern and all, and they're much more risk averse and the whole thing. And I'm like, yeah, but you've got so much more about you that's going to make this better? You know, maybe he doesn't, but you do, right?
Why? Okay, so I know I do hear that a lot. I do. And it really boggles my brain cells. But I want to know why. Why do we do that to ourselves? Why?
I have a theory. Do you want to hear it?
Oh, I do. And I'm going to write it down. Wait, I'm ready. Okay.
And listen,
Go ahead, Lisa, before I freeze again, tell me.
this might not be the best, like, you know, PC answer, but I'm going for it. So back in the day of the cavemen, the men were the hunters.
Okay.
The women were the gatherers, right? The women stayed back in the cave and swept it and cleaned it up, and they cooked whatever was brought back, right? Allegedly, this is how life has been. And we've seen it. We've seen it through frontier days. We've seen it through all the way through. The men are the ones that go out, go do whatever it is that's needed to make everything kind of, you know, survive, that survival piece. And then the women are in the background, and they're having everything kind of hum along. So I think that's why the men instinctually, they're like, oh, challenge? Yeah, I'm ready for it. Yeah, I can do it. Yeah, no problem. And they don't even think about it. And they leave the cave, and, you know, the pterodactyl came and swooped and took them away, or they got eaten by a dinosaur, whatever it was, right? But they didn't think about it. They were like, yeah, I got to just go do this. But really what kept it all together was the women in the background, right? And it's funny that I watched the GOP debate last night, and Nikki Haley, who was the only female on the stage, she was like, you know, she did a quote from Margaret Thatcher about that. If you want something done, you got to have a woman do it, right? She said that because the men were all arguing on the stage and like being snarky with each other, and she was like, yeah, enough of this nonsense, like, let's get down to business.
Okay.
There's a lot. I know there's a lot, but let's just go back to that whole hunter-gatherer thing. Like, yeah, I think that
there. I think I was a cave person. I think I was in the cave because I don't like cooking. I like gathering. I'm a gatherer.
Right. So, you know, just sitting there, and I think we've just been believing that that's the position that we have to have in life, that we're just kind of in the background, and the men come and they tell us what, you know, their ideas are, and we go, oh, that sounds great, and, you know, yes, I think that's going to be wonderful, and then off they go and do it.
It's changing, though, right? It is changing. We are digging ourselves out of that hole, right?
We are.
We're like, wait a minute. And then we talk to other women. We're like, no, it doesn't have to be that way.
I'm gonna actually push back on that, Sandy. The pandemic eviscerated women in the workplace.
What?
It did so much harm to women business owners and to women in business, because what happened, the schools shut down. Yeah. Women had to leave their place in station in their career, and they had to come home and they had to help their kids because all of the online education was happening, all that. There are staggering statistics about women that left their businesses behind and their careers behind because of the pandemic, and they're still trying to get that all back and up and running again. So we were just making progress.
Get it. We were just clawing our way out. We went,
yeah.
Right.
Boom.
I got it.
Back.
Okay. So I got a couple questions coming in. Well, a lot of questions coming in. We will not get to all of them, but you can always reach out to Lisa separately. But let's dive into the number one question, which is, what type of franchises? They want to know, is it everything, from soup to nuts, from coffee houses to gyms? Yeah. What do you got?
500 concepts plus, Sandy. Not a small amount. Like, you know, just this little, out of 4,000, I represent 500. And everyone thinks about food, but I represent cannabis. I represent a butcher shop. I represent.
I like the way cannabis was your first one. I'm writing that down.
Has to be cannabis. Has to be the first one. Cannabis, laundromat, you know, dog daycare, you know, literally anything that you can think of. can be franchised. Like really, there's a swath. And if it doesn't exist today, it's going to exist tomorrow. Like genuinely. There are new ones being popped out all the time. Some of them won't make it, and it just doesn't have the steam behind it. But yeah, it's amazing. Things that you can do from home, things that you can go and be in a retail space. You could work in an office, type concept. All different avenues, flexibility. My franchise that I owned was a home-based business. So I worked from the home. I've worked from home for 20 years.
You were ahead of COVID.
I was ahead of it. I was a trendsetter, Sandy.
Okay. Now I have a lot of questions. Wait, but I'll get to theirs first. All right, so point of entry. What's the least amount that you've seen for a franchise to the most?
So $10,000 to the most $6 million. So just a small gap.
6 million.
10,000, that's going to be, that's not going to be a full-time income replacement. That's going to be a side hustle that you're doing, that $10,000 concept. The 6 million, that's a big giant facility with big equipment in there, and that's why it's so expensive. The sweet spot tends to be businesses that are around. I try not to delve too much into the retail space just because it's a lot. It's that commitment. That lease lasts longer than most marriages. So I try to do things that don't require that big lease. But you've got businesses that you can get in for, $150,000, $200,000 that are great businesses. And a home-based businesses, you could be in around 75,000.
You know what I love about that? It's like if you're interested, there's probably something for everyone.
There's something for everyone, for sure. Yeah.
I don't know if I told you this, but I was very impressed with you for many reasons. But one is when you and I were chatting, even before coming on the show, I love the way you said it's not meant for everyone. And you really are thorough about getting to know the person and what their needs are, what their likes are, and if franchising would be made for them.
Yeah. No, this is serious business. This is you're not playing with people's lives. Like, you want to be able to do no harm, and oftentimes people don't have the finances, or they're desperate because they lost their job, and so they're that mid-50s and they're panicking because they're not getting another job, and so they're just starting to make panic decisions. That doesn't mean that they should own a business, right? And their severance is winding down, and their insurance is winding down, and now they start making bad choices. And I'm like, nope, that's not what you should be doing. So being very cautious and very careful with people and helping them to understand, yes or no. First of all, yes or no, is this built for you? And if it's not, why? And if it's financial, okay, well, let's set a plan for how you're going to get there, right? Let's set a plan. Just like you have a plan to buy a house, or you have a plan to put your, putting your kid into college. Like, you've got to have plans for these things. And when you don't, what happens? You're in trouble. You've got 2008, right? People did not have a plan, and they bought a house and they were under on their mortgage, and it was a nightmare, right? So you've got to have a plan in this life. It's no small decision.
All right, so we'll call her Sally Bell. Sally Bell says, I've been looking to do something for a while. I've set aside a nest egg of $50,000. I cannot find the right business. I'm not sure. I don't know what I'm passionate about yet. Is that something Lisa would be able to help me with?
Oh, yes, Sally. My whole job is for helping you to find and ignite that passion. When I became a franchise owner, I say that it literally entered my veins. And my family can attest to this. It's all I talked about. It's all I thought about. I was so, I drank the Kool-Aid, full stop, because it just resonated with me so much. You want to feel that way. You want to feel like maybe you've had a job that you were kind of dead inside, like you were stuck and you were dead inside. You want something that's gonna ignite that passion, ignite that flame. And that is my job, is to find that. And if we're not finding it, then you go, okay, then maybe this is not what I should be doing. But yes, that is what I'm always looking for. And I tell my clients, if I'm more excited about this than you are, there's a problem. I want to see people excited, and you can see it in their eyes. You can feel it, right? You can feel it where they're just like, yes, this is it. I'm ready.
I'm ready. I'm excited. No, it's true, because I know, as much as some days were tough for me, owning health clubs, I got up every morning and couldn't wait to get there, and could work late nights and weekends. Not that I liked it all the time, but it's what got me out of bed every single day for like 30 some years. That's a lot of time.
Yeah. And it is. And that's what I tell people. I go, you've got to get up every single day and rinse and repeat and go at this. And some days in my franchise, I would have days where I was in near tears, and then I would call one of my other franchisees. That's one of the beauties of a franchise, is that you have a system, and you can't, it's hard for you to call another gym owner and they're going to be like, go scratch, Sandy. Like, I'm hoping every day that you fail, because that'll be more business for me, right?
Yeah.
In the franchise world, you're all in it together and you're not in competition. So I'd pick up the phone and I would start talking to some of my other franchisees, and they would lift me up, and then I'd be like, okay, all right, okay, it's going to be better. It's going to be better. Tomorrow's another day. Good, right? And then conversely, when I was having an amazing day, calling up my other franchisees, and then they're like, oh, I was having such a bad day, and now I'm hearing that you just energized me. Yes, right? And so you have that whole nice built-in system of support with each other. And then you feel that passion from each other. And when you're down, you're going to get lifted up, which is wonderful.
I never thought of that. I never thought of that as a benefit. So let's go right into that. What are some of the pros and cons of going into business by yourself or a franchise? And what are some of the attributes or personality traits that you go, yeah, you're probably better off doing your own thing versus going into a franchise? I know you went over that with me. I know you went over that.
Oh yeah, I need an hour now on that.
Okay.
I'm gonna pare it down. I'll pare it down. So the idea behind a franchise, let's just break that down. At one time, McDonald's, there was one McDonald's, right? Someone created a restaurant and they had a burger, and people locally started eating this burger and they liked it. And then they added onto the menu. And then one day they were like, well, could you put one on the other side of town? And they were like, oh yeah, I'll put one on the other side of town. And then the other side on the other side was like, can you put one over here? And then before you know it, they started springing up here, there, and everywhere. And then when they decided to franchise this concept, back then, you didn't know anything. There was no internet. And so you would feel this level of comfort that you could go along to some other town and see this restaurant that you knew exactly what the quality was, you knew exactly what the menu was, you knew almost how the layout was, and there's a level of comfort in that, right? So a franchise, they've done the branding, they've done the logo, they've figured out the product, they've figured it all out for you, right? There's a recipe book, and they've figured it all out for you. Now you're coming in, and you're taking that recipe, and all you have to do is follow the instructions. Follow the instructions word for word, and now you too are going to have this replicatable business. When it's not good for people is that they start straying and going, well, instead of step 2, I'm going to do step 3. You know, the people on the recipe boards, and they go, well, this recipe was nice, but I did this, 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 and this, and this. And you're like, but that wasn't the recipe, right?
Yeah.
Those are not ideal clients. They're constantly wanting to change everything. No, you can't change anything. You can't walk into a McDonald's and go, you know what? It's enough with your fish fillet. Let's do wasabi, and let's do ahi tuna. Like, no. Like, you've got to follow what they've done, because they have done all of the research and all of everything to show that this is the business model that works, period. So when people are butting up against that, right, that's not going to be good. So that's one part. The other part is the pros and cons of being that business owner. You've got that whole piece that's already done for you. And furthermore, you get to talk to the other people in the business. So if you create, you know, Sandy's ice cream shop, right? You don't get to collaborate with anyone else. You're by yourself. You're trying to figure everything out by yourself. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't, and you're done, right? Yep. In the franchise, there's just so much support and so much that's there. They'll do marketing. They'll do your SEO. They'll create your website for you. Some will have a call center where by the time you get done with your training, your phone's already ringing. You can't get that on your own. And you're now trying to figure all of it out. Whereas in the franchise, they've already figured that out for you. But is it easy? No. Because you still have to be the face of your business. You've got to be in it, all in. You've got to just literally sink yourself into it, full stop, and immerse yourself into the community and be everything with this business.
And manage people.
And manage people, which you may or may not be good at.
Because even though, because I had a friend, you know, say this to me, that had a gym franchise, he thought, okay, he followed the formula, and it was great because he was a rule follower. And he went, I did this, I did. But there was a little fly in the ointment. He didn't like managing others.
Right? Yeah, that's a problem, right? So I give an assessment to all my clients, and it's fabulous. And it shows, first of all, whether or not they would even be a good fit in a franchise. So that's great. And then it shows the type of culture that they need to be in, the kind of values that they have, and all of their business acumen. Are they a good leader? Are they going to be good with, you know, HR? Are they going to be good with business development? Where are their weaknesses? It shows all of that. And so that's super, super helpful, 100%, because not everyone is good with this stuff. I just had a conversation earlier today with someone about sales, and you can be great in sales and come into a franchise and do terrible because there's different types of sales, right? There's the sales where you're, you know, standing around and you're shaking, you know, hands and you're making some deals, right? But have you ever cold called before, right? If you've never cold called, that's a totally different animal.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Totally different.
I love sales, by the way. I love it. I love all of it. But I did it for years. Right. I mean, I did the cold calling, and you had to make your 100 calls, and, you know, day, and all that stuff. And you get immune to it. You don't even feel rejected anymore. You're like, eh. No. But it does take time. It does take time. All right, so are there any hot franchises right now? Like, what's hot? Is there anything hot? Like, everybody wants to get into, like, I don't know.
Cookie crumble. Yeah, no, the hot. So I am the anti-hot franchise lady. Like, I don't chase trends. I just believe it's like the stock market, right? By the time the common person buys into that stock that everyone's talking about, the wave already passed, right? The wave is gone, it's over. So the big investors, they're the ones that come into these things, and they'll come in fast and furious, and then they either stay with it or they leave or whatever is happening. I just have no interest in that, because my clients, a lot of them are regular, ordinary, normal people. So I want them in things that are going to be long lasting. I want them in things that are needed, not wanted. That's super important to me, especially with the economy. Economy is wonky. It's going to be wonky. I'm going to say for the next at least 3 to 5 years. It just is. Worldwide pandemic, worldwide issues, geopolitical issues, all the stuff that we've got going on, you're going to have a weird economy. Does that mean it's not good to own a business? No, it just means that being more cautious, being more careful, right? Because it is a weird economy, and no one really knows what's going to happen. I don't care what they say. They really don't, because it's a weird. There's no rule book for it.
I agree.
Right? There's no rule book. So I look at things that are needed. They were needed yesterday. They're needed today. They're going to be needed tomorrow. Those are the things that I love. And why? Because the financials of them tend to be so much greater, but they tend not to be sexy, right? And so it's not sexy. It's not, social influencer sexy. And it's not when you're talking to your friends. But to me, the financials are sexy. And the fact that this business
I
is a real
understand.
business,
I understand that.
right?
I have like disposable diapers now. Well, you're gonna always need them. I'm just
Right. So there's businesses that they're just humming in the background and no one thinks about them. They're just there, and they're just gobbling up income because it's always there. And that's the area that I'm super attracted to for my clients.
not that I don't know anything about cookie crumble, but don't you think ice cream and cookies will always be there because they're inexpensive luxuries we can have to make ourselves have a smile on our face?
When you look at a cookie crumble, it's an expensive cookie. It's not an inexpensive cookie. It's really,
I don't know.
Oh, they're super expensive. And so they look really pretty. And by the way, I'm not putting cookie crumble down, and God bless everyone that owns one. And I hope they stay in business forever. But at some point, it just kind of, people have a small attention span, and then they're boop onto the next, whatever that fad is.
Well, I'll see.
Right?
And with
So
that
right
cookie, now we're into Nestle's Make it home.
Right. Like people have, and it's the same thing in fitness, Sandy. You know this. 1 minute it's this, the next minute it's that, the next minute it's this. So every fitness concept is constantly trying not to become a dinosaur, going back to the caveman, the whole caveman discussion. But it's true, because something new comes out, and now the other concepts are like, oh no, what am I going to do? This is my entire concept is this, and no one cares about it anymore.
It's true.
Makes me nervous.
That's why at my health club, I had everything. I had all these different studios, and I would put in this, then take out that. That's hot, that's not, like whatever, because it's true.
Right.
It all works the same, but it's not sexy, and people do want sexy.
Yeah.
They want the latest, newest thing. Lisa, you're such a wise woman. These are things that I know you're like, seem like common sense, but I never thought of these things. Like, I just never. I like you more and more, Lisa. I love the way you think.
Right back.
All right.
Yeah.
I really do. This is phenomenal, and it's so practical. And by the way, when you were saying these things about men, and I'm just going to say, I had amazing male mentors, amazing. But when I started out in my 20s owning health clubs as a woman, they told me, let me tell you, they're going to say women are emotional, blah, blah, blah. Wait till you see men in the board meeting. They don't do it the same, but they don't think before they send emails. They react because of their emotions and their egos. But you can't be that way. You have to step it up. You're going to have to, to overcome those hurdles, because you're going to have to prove yourself way more than those guys. I'd be like, why? What? And they were right. Thank 100%. God for all those male, mentors. And I saw it. Like, I'll sit and I thoroughly think about my email. When I'm angry, I'm upset, I don't send emails, I don't send texts. If I'm angry or upset, I don't talk in a meeting. And I would see these men who will remain nameless, like firing off the email. I'm like, before they thought, saying things they didn't mean. I'm like, you're right. Just the emotional female. Yep. So it's not true. I mean, there's emotional men in business, and there are emotional females in business. And for me, it had to do with the individual. I didn't see the male-female difference. I saw just as many men, if not more, not being able to control their emotions, where women, we knew we had to prove ourselves.
Well, we have to do everything so much more cautiously and careful. Like Nikki, I'm going to go back to Nikki Haley last night. She had to make sure she doesn't yell at anyone or come off in a very sharp manner, because if she does, what would she be called today?
A B.
That's correct. A B. But meanwhile, they were all arguing and sniping at each other nonstop. But if she had done it, they would have been like, look at her, look at her tone. It would have, we are just then, it's just changed. So it's what's good for this side is not good for that side. And it's just a fact of life, and it's a fact of business.
Yep.
So, just like saying that women aren't good with finances, and yet how many women do the finances for their homes? A ton of women.
Yep. The savers. Who are the savers and who are the senders?
That's correct.
And I've seen it both ways, men and women.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lisa, thank you so much for changing the time so we could be on. Thank you for being patient with the internet gods, because this is valuable information that I know every woman out there would benefit from.
Yeah.
And don't worry, for those of you who are watching, they're like, Sandy, you changed your time. I didn't know, blah, blah, blah. When we're done here, I'm going to push record, and I'm going to put it on every single platform so that people can find it. So it will be on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. Did I miss something? Tweety, tweet, Twitter, whatever. It'll go everywhere, and the website. But before we do that, is there any last words you want to get in besides telling them how they can find you? Is there anything we didn't get in, Lisa?
Oh, we covered a lot, Sandy. And, what I can say is that I know something that's super important. My clients don't pay me anything to work with me. Nothing, zero, zilch. So the franchise world is overseen by the Federal Trade Commission, and that's an FTC rule. So people get to work with me and learn about this world completely for free. And there's no sales. This is not selling. This is a journey.
How do you get
and it's
paid?
educating. If they're awarded a franchise, then I get compensated by the franchise system.
Okay.
So
that's good. I like that deal. I like that.
So they get to learn, and they get to come on this journey with me, and I try to make it fun and, educational and, exciting, and also very real. And they don't have to pay for it. And so instead of trying to click around on the internet where you don't know what the heck you're doing and you don't know what you're clicking on, and to Sally's point about, well, I don't know what's going to be interesting to me. I don't know what's going to be exciting. Yeah, you don't know. So work with a professional. That's what I do. This is all I do all day long, right? So that would be my last really important word, right? Huge. That's an important word. And then where everyone can find me, all the proper places. My company is Milestone Franchising. So at Milestone Franchising is my YouTube, my LinkedIn, my Facebook, all of that good stuff. And and lots of good educational nuggets I try to put out there. I am a monthly contributor for something called Franchise Wire. I write monthly articles, and I host a television show called Franchise Focus, and I have over 100 episodes over on YouTube.
Woo! Woo! Yippee! Go, Lisa! Go, Lisa!
And I love your purple pen, by the way. Purple's my favorite color.
Oh, is it?
It is.
I was just sitting here, and I must have known that. All right, I got something to say, people. I will be back next Thursday at 3, but most of you, you watch the recordings all over the place. Lisa and I will so appreciate you sharing, liking it, and rating it. And you know what I'm going to say until next time. Toodles! Bye, Lisa.
Bye, Sandy. Thank you.
You're welcome.